So you know how I sent you that list of songs the other day for the intro song?
Yes.
And I said, listen to number 6 and number 10 and tell me if you feel anything.
Yes, I do remember.
And so do you remember what you said for number 6?
Yes. So number 6 made me feel like I was watching an 80s movie where the nerd loses.
He said, here, I have it right here. He says,
Okay.
He said, number 6 makes me feel like I am in an 80s movie where the nerd stays in the friend zone while the cheerleader gets the quarterback.
That's the edited version, yes. And I believe it was more the football team. Yeah, but yes.
Well, what's funny about that is as I was listening to these songs and that song came on, my mind put me in an imaginative state, and what I was imagining was I was a quarterback running out onto the football field. He's about to, do the game-winning drive or whatever. And then you sent me that, and it just made me think, like, oh, man, is Eric picturing me running out into the huddle right now as well? With like so much disdain for the quarterback, but I'm more Jake Weiler than Jonathan Moxon or Joe Kane, and any quarterback nerd who can name those quarterbacks, what movies they're from, and who they are. You have my full respect, but
yeah,
I just thought that was a funny contrast between how you thought of the song and then what I thought of the song. And
yeah. So I told Stacy about that too. I told my wife, Stacy, about that. I said, so listen, I want you to listen to this song, and I want you to tell me what you think. What comes to your mind when you hear this song. And she goes, well, and I said, and then I read her exactly what you had read back, and I said, honestly, it makes me feel, it made me think about the movie Lucas. Like, did you ever see Lucas with Corey Haim,
I haven't seen it.
Cary Green and Charlie Sheen. So Charlie Sheen's the big time quarterback. Cary Green from the Goonies and stuff.
Yeah.
80s darling sweetheart. And then Corey Haim is this nerdy, like 13, 14-year-old kid that's like in love with the new girl and stuff like that. So anyhow, that is what it made me think about. When I was watching, when you sent that over, that's what I was thinking of. It was totally reminded me of Lucas. So.
Hello and welcome to the Nerd Rundown podcast, where you get the rundown on the latest movie, TV shows, comics, and gaming news. I am your host, Darren Stemple. With me today, as always, is my co-host, Eric Hare. You can follow us on Twitter at the Nerd Rundown. You can listen to us wherever you may find your podcasts, like Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, Buzzsprout, Player FM, Deezer, and you can find us on our YouTube channel at the Nerd Rundown. All right, Eric. Episode 2, Attack of the Podcast Nerds.
Attack of the Podcast Nerds.
We're going to be screwed when we get to episode 10. When we run out of Star Wars jokes.
Really going to, yeah. we can only parody for so long before we have to get started.
I might actually have to get creative at some point.
Right.
We have a wonderful show today. I really want to take a quick second to thank everybody who listened to our podcast in week 1. Had over 125 plus downloads between all of our different areas that you can listen to us. So that was a huge win for us in the first week. Really, really proud of what we were able to do with that, and really obviously couldn't have done it without you. I know half of that was probably my mom just playing it on YouTube over and over again, but thanks, Mom. Anyway,
it was very nice of her.
Big thank you to everybody who listened to us and gave us some great feedback. And like I said, we have a really awesome show. I've been super excited all week to get in here and record this because some really great stuff to talk about today. And, episode 2, where you learn from episode 1 and things get a little better.
There
won't be a weird love story in this one.
Unless it's The Empire Strikes Back, in which everything falls apart, and it's the worst part ever. So, am I being pessimistic? I'm sorry. I'm supposed to be optimistic. My apologies.
Did you just say Empire? Did you just say what I think you just said?
Yeah, Empire Strikes Back.
Are we going to fight right now?
No, but that's the darkest.
It's the best.
It is the best.
Okay.
But
I just want to hear you say that.
But it is super dark. Like it's the plot.
That's why every number 2 movie is darker.
It's usually much darker and usually takes you to a place that you don't necessarily want to go. So,
all right, rundown. You want to get to the rundown?
Yeah, we should get to work.
Okay. Let's get to the rundown. So our first rundown that we're going to talk about here today, big news came out yesterday. Mr. Alfred Molina, who you may know as Doc Ock in Spider-Man 2. He was also in a little movie called Chocolat, if you've seen that.
Chocolat, yes. Good French.
He's been in a lot of movies, people, but he's very well known in the nerd community for his awesome take on Doc Ock in Spider-Man 2. Came out yesterday, confirmed his role in Spider-Man 3 No Way Home, which comes out in December, which is crazy for so many reasons because that's confirming a multiverse tie-in. So meaning that there's multiple verses out there that with multiple Spider-Mans out there.
Right.
Which means if we're getting a Doc Ock 2 Spidey 2 Doc Ock, are we getting that Spidey as well? That's still not confirmed. It's also been confirmed that Jamie Foxx's Electro from The Amazing Spider-Man 2, Andrew Garfield's movie, back in, I believe it was 2015, is confirmed to reprise his role as the Electro.
Yeah.
So does that mean we're getting the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man 2 or as well? So huge news. And what Alfred Molina also said about this is that his story is taking up right after his role ended in Spider-Man 2. And if you remember in that movie, he died. He drowned, saving Spidey and Mary Jane in the warehouse deal in the docks. So no pun intended. But crazy news that was confirmed yesterday. What do you think?
Well, I'm curious how the whole multiverse stuff is going to shake out. So I think that's the part that I think maybe confuses me, or I'm trying to figure out exactly how that's gonna shake out, how that's gonna form, how they're gonna do it. I'm sure they're gonna. I mean, I'm gonna love it. I can guarantee I'm gonna love it. So as far as Alfred Molina goes, awesome. I mean, like he was great as Doc Ock in the earlier version. I have two great memories of him. He's been in a lot of great stuff, and he does a really great job. So obviously, he's got a super tiny role in Raiders of the Lost Ark, Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
So he's got that, where he's holding his fingers back and forth as in the opening scene of Raiders of the Lost Ark, where he's he's rubbing his fingers together because he can't wait to get that little treasure, and everything. So and then he goes on to betray Indy in that, but he was great in that. And then he played Angel in Maverick with Mel Gibson, and he plays it.
I always forget that's Alfred Molina.
Yeah, that he's so great.
He's so great. And I watched that recently.
Yeah, he's so funny because he's, there's a scene where Mel Gibson's character Maverick drums up these guys to pretend to beat him up, and so that Angel won't beat him up for real,
Right.
So he says, he looks at him after he beats these 4 guys, down, and he looks over at Angel Alfred Molina's character. He says, did you just call me a cheat? And he starts backtracking. He's like, I don't think I called you a cheat. Maybe I called you a liar, but never call a man a cheat. So great stuff. So kind of, I guess expand on what you think the multiverse stuff is going to shake out like, because obviously you had the Spider-Verse stuff that came out recently, the animated series, the animated vehicle that they brought out. So that kind of showed that you had like the
Spider-Mans,
Miles Morales, Peter Parker. So kind of explain how you think that's going to go.
Yep. So I actually have no idea how, because honestly, I thought WandaVision was going to start the breaking of the multiverse. Obviously, I say obviously a lot. I shouldn't say obviously a lot because it's not obvious. So in Endgame, they travel back in time and it created multiple branch realities, and we're starting to see that play out in Loki next after Falcon and Winter Soldier is done. We talked about Loki last week. So that's going to start breaking the universes apart, I believe.
Okay.
At least I'm hoping. So, because I thought that WandaVision was going to do that, and then it didn't. So, we do know that WandaVision is tying directly into Doctor Strange 2, which is called Doctor Strange 2 in the Multiverse of Madness. We're going to talk about that next week as well.
Right.
So that's telling us that there's going to be more multiverse madness, obviously.
Right.
And then Spider-Man 2 is also, which comes out in December, and Doctor Strange 2 comes out in March of next year. So
Spider-Man 3 comes...
a lot of Spider-Mans.
Yeah.
Spider-Man 3, it comes out in December before, and then that's going to tie directly into Doctor Strange 2. So, I bet Doctor Strange 2 is going to have Wanda and Stephen Strange teaming up to put the multiverse back together.
Okay, so that's how you think it's going to shape up, because basically that's what I'm kind of curious about is you don't want to treat your fans like they're dumb, but there's only so much capacity I think people have, especially for the average casual person. For us who are nerds, even for me as a casual nerd, I don't know that I necessarily have the time to invest all that I can into all that. So I think they just need to be careful how they tread here. But so far they've hit it out of the park every time. So I trust except for a couple of the Thor movies.
Kevin Feige, the president of Marvel Studios, he's put this all together. Everything comes from him. Well, not everything, but he has final say on everything. He's the man. I trust in him.
Yeah.
To put this together well, and I am so excited to see how it plays out. I think Spider-Man 3 is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
It's exciting to see Alfred Molina confirm this news, because it basically confirms that there's going to be multiple Spider-Man in it, and I cannot wait to see how it plays out, how it's going to tie into Doctor Strange 2, and I can't wait to see Tom Holland finish his Spidey trilogy. So, very, very excited about it.
Yeah.
It's big news. Big news.
It is.
That's why it's number one on our list.
Number one.
All right, next on the rundown, we have really exciting news, too. This got me so pumped. There is a Lord of the Rings TV show being developed currently for Amazon Prime.
Yes.
It came out yesterday. This is incredible. Listen to this. It came out yesterday that it is going to be the most expensive TV show ever made for one season. And that means it's the most expensive show ever made, more than any other show combined in their season. So, for example, Game of Thrones was 8 seasons long. I know that was a very, very expensive TV show to be made, and it didn't even come close. Listen to these numbers. So, this first season for this show, it's going to cost $465 million to make. That's for one season, Eric. To contrast that, the most expensive movie ever made is Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides. That cost $378.5 million. So it's nearly another $100 million more than that most expensive movie. Now that movie was 2 hours long. This is going to be a 10-episode series, 10-episode arc. However, it's still amazing when you look at these numbers. Doesn't automatically guarantee it's going to be good. Obviously, with Pirates of the Caribbean and Stranger Tides being the most expensive movie made and one of the worst. But I love to hear that Amazon is taking this serious and is really, really putting some cash into this.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. I one of my favorite quotes from the movie is that, there's only one Lord of the Ring, only one who can bend it to his will, and he does not share power. And I absolutely love that quote. I didn't realize that Gandalf was actually talking about Jeff Bezos. I thought
in time, of course, everything is about Jeff Bezos these days.
Yeah, I didn't realize that it was Jeff Bezos, but good to know. Good to know now.
Very good to know. So let's talk a little bit about what this show is. There is. So the Lord of the Rings movies takes place during the Third Age.
Right.
This movie will take place during the First Age, and it is going to feature a young Sauron.
Okay.
So Sauron, the Dark Lord, who created the One Ring to rule them all.
Right.
He is going to be a young Dark Lord in this movie, or show, and it also is going to show the origins of Aragorn's family, his royal family.
Okay. So is this going to lead up to them forging the one ring?
It will not.
Okay.
There's about, I think about a couple thousand years in between the shows.
Okay. So do they start forging any of the rings at this particular point then, or
no.
because? Okay, interesting.
No.
Okay.
Don't worry about the rings. I know it's called Lord of the Rings.
Okay, well.
Forget about the rings.
Well,
no.
It's hard when the name of the show is Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, no, but it's very exciting. You get to see, Aragorn's heritage. Obviously, he's not going to be in it, but
right.
he will play a factor into it in a sense.
Okay.
So,
yeah, so the race of men, and then we'll have the elves, the Elvish race, the dwarf race, all these different. I'm super excited about that. Yep. So hopefully we'll get to see.
I'm even sure we'll have hobbits in it. I wouldn't be surprised to see that.
Yeah. Well, I think you probably have to, but I'm really hoping to see the dwarf kingdom in its prime. Yeah. I think that's the one that I'm looking the most forward to seeing, and then hopefully they're able to pull that out, because I think that'll be pretty exciting. So, I mean, overall, that's a huge budget, and like you said, it's no guarantee of success. I mean, I can remember early on, when they started to kind of jack those budgets up, like you said, Stranger Tides was not a good movie. It doesn't really matter.
Right.
And even before then, I think prior to that one, the biggest one was Waterworld, and again, while a B movie. The biggest budgeted B movie ever, and it has a somewhat of a cult following and stuff. But
who likes that movie?
Well, I think anybody, well, I don't know. I think Kevin Costner's mom probably likes it, but
I bet she was like, "Now, Kevin, I don't know about this movie.
Right?
You're drinking your own pee in it.
Right? Yeah. So
that's how you open the movie.
Yeah. Well, anybody who's a fan of Gene Triplehorn loves it. Love Gene Triplehorn, and honestly, Dennis Hopper's bad guy is fantastic in it. So he's
when is Dennis Hopper not fantastic?
Yeah, exactly. So he's just a great guy. So
yeah. So to wrap it up, the show it's expensive. Very excited. We don't have a release date on it, but as soon as we know, we'll let you guys know. We'll keep you updated. We'll be talking about this show quite a bit, as especially as we draw closer to premiere. And very, very excited. One more quick note to give you just how much time. The Lord of the Rings movies, like I said, takes place at the end of the Third Age. This is going to take place at the beginning of the First Age. So this show could go on for a very long time. It could cover, 3,400 years or something like that.
Yeah.
I feel like off the top of my head. So it's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Or it's going to be, I'm hoping it's going to be amazing. When has Lord of the Rings not really been, I think the Hobbit trilogy is okay.
Yeah.
But it's not terrible.
Right. No, it wasn't bad.
So the next exciting piece of news. We have some Indiana Jones 5 news to talk about. They have casted their main villain in the form of the incredible actor known as Mads Mikkelsen. You may know Mads Mikkelsen as Le Chiffre as the bad guy in Casino Royale.
Yes.
Bleeds out of his eye.
Yes.
You may know
Nothing
him
sinister.
as Caecilius. He's the bad guy in Doctor Strange 2.
Okay.
You may know him from other movies, King Arthur. Those are the main ones that come to my head right off the top of my head when I think about Mads Mikkelsen.
Yeah.
But yes, he's been cast as the main villain in Indiana Jones 5, which will star Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones.
And does he have a walker? Is that
they will carry him around the whole
Okay.
movie, and
Okay.
I do not think Shia LaBeouf is in this.
I'm hoping not. Not that I have anything against Shia LaBeouf. He's okay in some stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, Mads is one of those guys that I think is a severely underrated actor. He does a great job. Plays a wonderful villain. So I'm excited that he's going to be. Yeah, he kind of and this is kind of sacred territory for me, but I put him up there with the Hans Gruber type character. Whenever he's in there, he gives your hero.
He's never not good.
Right. Yeah. He gives your hero a run for their money when it comes to being a fantastic actor, and then hopefully hopefully they put together a good plot and make it so that it's good. So I'm excited about this. I really am. I think Mads is a great casting selection. He's also going to be, for our Harry Potter fans. He has been when they recasted Johnny Depp's Gellert Grindelwald character because of some of the issues that he's had, personal issues that Johnny Depp has had. They've recast the Gellert Grindelwald in the Fantastic Beasts series, and so Mads is going to be Gellert Grindelwald. So that's pretty exciting too. So I think he's a good selection. I'm excited to see what he can bring to the screen, and I'm morbidly curious to see at this point what the Indiana Jones 5 stuff is going to come out with. I
don't do aliens, please.
Well, I don't want to talk about monkeys. I just want to, as long as we don't have any swinging monkeys, I think we're going to be all right.
And no aliens.
No aliens.
Just go after an artifact.
Yeah, I don't.
That belongs in a museum.
I don't know. I honestly, I don't think this is going to be a review of Indiana Jones 4, but if we want to, we could go through that at some point.
I'd rather just pretend it doesn't exist.
I kind of feel
Alternate
the same
timeline.
way. Kind of feel the same way. So yeah, that's pretty exciting news. Love Mads. Looking forward to some Indy 5. Hopefully, we're able to get something.
And like you
good.
said, also tied to Harry Potter, but also a lot of the general audience may know him from the TV show Hannibal. He played Hannibal.
He did play Hannibal, yes, on the small screen. Yep.
So
very chilling.
Very, very chilling. He played opposite in that movie of one of his King Arthur cohorts. What's his name? Will Graham. So you may know him from Hannibal as Hannibal. So
yeah,
the guy gives you chills as a villain.
He does. And honestly, a lot of your movies that you watch and stuff, it's sometimes it's almost better if your villain is a better actor and a better character than your hero.
Big time. I mean, the best example I can give of that is The Dark Knight.
Yes. Yeah. Because agreed. Christian Bale's great as Bruce Wayne. He's a better Batman than he is a Bruce Wayne, I think. But obviously, if we really want to get into it, Michael Keaton is the best Batman, I think, hands down. But Christian Bale did a formidable job, and Christopher Nolan's retelling of that story is really, really great. In fact, my son and I rewatched Batman Begins this week, and it's great. It's a great one. But yeah, the villain.
The villain makes the hero, for sure.
Yeah.
And, it's actually a problem Marvel Studios has had in the past is they haven't had the greatest villains. With Marvel Studios, they've been able to overcome that more recently with Thanos. Loki's been there from the beginning, but Killmonger, they have some really they've focused more on their heroes in the beginning and not really put it much into their villains, but
yeah,
definitely they're moving more towards that. So it's good. And my question for the Dark Knight series is, if Hans Zimmer didn't score those movies, are they as good?
Well, deeper question for you. Do you think that the score for The Dark Knight Rises with only Hans Zimmer is as good as the one that he did for The Batman Begins and Dark Knight with James Newton Howard?
I don't like very much about Dark Knight Rises, so that's probably I think my answer is pretty easy with that.
Yeah. So I although I mean I absolutely love Hans Zimmer.
Yeah,
hands down. We've talked about Hans Zimmer is amazing. I don't think that soundtrack is as good without James Newton Howard.
For sure.
Because he those two, the collaboration between the two of them, the kind of the light, the dark, there's no doubt that Hans Zimmer is a brilliant composer.
Yeah.
But I think James' contribution to that is as good. Is as good. So
cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That is one of our specialty episodes that I want to get into is movie scores.
Yeah.
You and I both love movie scores.
Absolutely.
We'll get into more of that for you movie score nerds.
Yes, definitely.
So
that definitely falls in the nerd category.
For sure, yeah. No general audience members listening to movie scores like we do.
Right.
In our car. Okay, next. So again, Mads Mikkelsen, very excited. Good villain.
Yep.
Hopefully Indiana Jones 5 can be something better than Indiana Jones 4.
Right.
Okay. The next on the rundown, the Wolverine Anthology series rumor. So a big rumor came out this week that Disney Plus is developing a Wolverine Anthology series for Disney Plus. Many thoughts on this. Let me start off real quick. Coming from a non-Wolverine fan like myself, I think this would be great. Wolverine is I like Wolverine. I don't dislike him. He's got an incredible backstory, a very rich backstory because he's old, so there's a lot there to tell. And so having an anthology series will really give a lot of depth and background to his character.
Right.
Much better than what, just having like a montage at the beginning of a movie.
Right.
So I think this is really, really smart. Now, why we're taking this with a grain of salt is Kevin Feige has come out and said he will introduce mutants into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He is not sure when he's going to do it.
Right.
He's not sure how he's going to do it, or he's sure he knows how he's going to do it. He's not sure when. And when I say how, is he going to do it through a movie or is he going to do it through TV shows?
Right.
Now that they have their Disney Plus series just going strong. So who knows about that? But again, I think it's a good move by Marvel to do. If this is true, if they do this, it's better to start it off with an anthology series. I would like for them to introduce mutants in a way that it makes sense. A lot of people expected WandaVision, spoiler warning, if you're not to a certain... Where are you at in WandaVision?
Episode 6.
Okay, so you've seen Evan Peters come in?
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of people thought that this was, again, WandaVision's breaking the multiverse and we're bringing in mutants. Didn't turn out that way.
Right.
So, sorry. No. I'm not ruining anything for you. I'm actually making it better for you. But... Kevin Feige is going to introduce mutants in a way that isn't just going to be kind of like, here's episode 5 of WandaVision, and then at the end
just a casual.
Yeah. It's going to tie into. It's going to have a rich story to it. It's going to tie into probably the snap in some way that's created. All this radiation around the world's created mutants, whatever it might be. But very excited to see how they do it because, as you may know, Cyclops is like 1B favorite character of mine, right with Cap. But
right.
Other than that, what are your thoughts? Sorry, I talked a lot there.
Well, no. So I'm excited about it. I think, kind of touching on the Kevin Feige stuff real quick. Kevin Feige is a very strategic thinker.
Oh, yeah.
So, which is what you want in an executive producer in the production type people. I think that's the problem with Kathleen Kennedy. If we want to talk about the Star Wars stuff, is she doesn't have a very strategic vision for what's happening, or if she does, it's gotten lost somehow somewhere. So, whereas Kevin Feige has a strategic vision and knows 20 to 25 pictures out what he wants to do, and so he's thinking all that stuff further and further ahead. And then he leaves the tactical decision making to the directors, and the content producers themselves to say, okay, hey, this is where we're going with this character. Here's the box you have to play in. Develop your character how you want to, but it can't go outside of these places. And I think I saw an interview where they were talking about, this is from the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, where Bucky, Sebastian Stan said that, the great thing about Kevin Feige is that the best idea wins. Yeah. And so I think this Wolverine information is super cool, and I'm hoping that it comes true. But I'm also hoping that strategically Kevin Feige does do mutants justice when he starts to introduce them into this universe, and I know he will. I know he will. I know he's not going to just do it willy nilly or just have it slip in somehow or whatever. So I'm excited about it. I'm looking forward to it. You and I have had multiple conversations about the Wolverine character. I don't think that the Wolverine character is as good today as it would be without Hugh Jackman. I think it's very difficult to separate. I think, when that first X-Men movie came out and they had made Wolverine kind of the main character in it, I don't know that necessarily was the original plan. I think, Cyclops, was probably more, that back and forth between the two of them was definitely, the chemistry between the two of them was really, really great. But Hugh Jackman kind of came out of that as the big star, and then we kind of developed the Wolverine over time, and you get everything, and the entire story arc of the Wolverine from that first X-Men movie to the finale in Logan. Wow, just good arc, just a great arc, and really seeing Hugh Jackman grow as an actor and grow into that role, and have them develop that character, with a couple of standalone movies and some other stuff. But James Mangold's Logan is
it's fantastic.
Oh my gosh,
it's the only Wolverine movie I watch. So you brought up a good point. The X-Men movies raised the Wolverine character in all aspects,
right? To
include his powers. And we have a great fan question about Wolverine, so I'm not going to dig in too much. I want to save it for that.
Yeah.
But it's he got too overpowered because of the movies, and then his popularity just made everything bigger for him. So
right.
Leading up to the movies, Wolverine was always the most popular X-Men character. I don't want to say that he wasn't, and Cyclops is the most popular, but he's always been there as the main, or not the main character, but the most popular. But the movies just made it. He's going up against the Phoenix in the third terrible X-Men movie, and he's healing as she's blowing him apart. But so there's more. We'll get more into Wolverine here at the end, but I think it's from a non-Wolverine fan. I think this is a great idea for Disney to move towards and start doing. And if they did this for they could do this for a lot of their X-Men characters, because a lot of Marvel's best characters are X-Men. So
so I'm kind of curious I'm kind of curious how Disney is going to do these Marvel series as we go along, because, I haven't finished WandaVision, but there's only so far you can go with WandaVision because there's a particular problem with WandaVision. So is that there's
not
only
gonna
Wanda.
Be a season, there's not going to be a season.
There's going to be
two.
season 2. So, and I mean, I haven't even finished it yet, and I already know that there's not going to be a season 2 of WandaVision. So, and with the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, it's kind of the same thing because, I don't know. I haven't finished it, obviously, and we haven't really talked about it much, but if it goes where I think it's going, there's one character is no longer going to be who they are anymore, and they're going to become who they should have become, a while ago. So, which I'm super excited about. Like, I cannot wait for that
Can't wait
reveal.
To talk about this show.
Like,
last night's episode was mind-blowing.
It was bonkers. Like, I absolutely loved it. I love. I don't want to get too sidetracked because we do need to talk about that. But I forget. I think everybody kind of forgets what a great actor Anthony Mackie is. What a phenomenal actor he is, and what a phenomenal actor Sebastian Stan are. Both of them together.
Stan is. I mean, both of them are blown out of the water. I did not see this coming. I've seen Anthony Mackie in serious roles.
Yes.
I've not seen Sebastian Stan act like this before.
Yeah,
he's doing a phenomenal job.
I think I'm really happy about it. So kind of retacking back to the subject at hand. Wolverine is one of my favorite comic book characters. I love him. I'm excited.
You would.
I know. It's that adamantium.
Yeah.
I love it.
Going.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's move on. We're both very excited about that.
Yes.
Even from a non-Wolverine fan. Okay. The next piece of the rundown.
Oh man.
A new trailer was released this week for a movie that's called Army of the Dead. It's coming to theaters May 14th, and it will be released on Netflix on May 21st. It's directed by the
Infamous,
yeah, I would say that's a good way of putting it. Infamous director Zack Snyder. He wrote and directed this movie. It's starring Dave Bautista, who plays Drax in the Marvel movies.
Yes.
The trailer was released this week. We'd gotten a teaser before, but didn't really see much of it. The full trailer released this week. Awesome.
Oh
man, I got done with it. I was like, that looks awesome for so many reasons. It's first of all, this is really cool because it's combining genres.
Right.
It's a new take on the zombie genre.
Yes.
And it's obviously because it's having zombies in it is a new take on the heist genre.
Yes. Yeah.
So here's the what this is Dave Bautista is a former military special ops guy.
Right.
He's hired to go into Las Vegas where apparently it's a contained zombie apocalypse.
Right. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Like Vegas is gone. Bye-bye Vegas.
Right.
Because
well,
it's not too far from the truth if you've been there recently.
Right.
But there's a contained zombie apocalypse in Vegas, and apparently there's a lot of money left in the casinos, and another great actor
Hiroyuki Sanada.
Hiroyuki Sanada.
Yes.
I don't want to butcher that. Hiroyuki Sanada hires Dave Bautista to go into that area to heist out some major money.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So it looks awesome, action-packed, has some humor. It's for sure gonna have half the movie be in slow motion because of that. Zack Snyder.
Yeah.
So maybe 4 hours, but really it's 2 hours. But it looks really amazing. What are your thoughts, real quick?
Yeah, I'm super stoked for this. 2 words: zombie tiger.
Yes.
So
spoiler alert for the trailer.
Yeah, if
this
you
was
haven't watched
cool
the trailer
little
yet,
tag at the end.
Yeah. Well, and I love the way they
is that what are those two guys?
Yeah, Siegfried and Roy.
Siegfried
I'm
and
pretty
Roy's
sure it's
tiger?
one of it looked like a white tiger. So if it's not if there's no direct link to them, it's definitely a hat tip and a nod to
For
them
sure,
that that's part of how it goes. But
yeah,
I thought the way that the trailer was put together was pretty great. I mean, obviously, if you're watching the trailer for something called Army of the Dead, you kind of get an idea of whatever it was. But yeah, so the Hiroyuki Sanada character, he kind of. He's got a room full of people, and he's trying to pitch this heist, and then and the guy's like, yeah, well, kind of, well, there's one little complication, and then you kind of pan up above this thing, and it's just a sea of zombies out there, and then of course is a twist to them that they're not entirely.
They're not the Walking Dead zombies.
They are not. Yeah,
they're
there's
smart.
some sort of.
They're fast.
They're sort of the I Am Legend.
They know like kung fu.
Right, they know kung fu. So I did read that there's probably some sort of tie-in to for all you super nerds out there, the Area 51 area, which is about 90 miles outside of Vegas. There will be some sort of. I think that's how you get where you get what you get,
Cool.
So
okay.
which is very stand. I think that's very the standish, where it kind of leaks, something leaks out, and so maybe that's how they're able to contain it to just Las Vegas. So
okay, I didn't see that.
Yeah, so we'll see. I don't know. I mean, my understanding is that this is not just a one and done either.
Yeah, there's 2 and 3 being in development too.
2 and 3. There is a live action prequel that they've already done with one of the characters who is the vault specialist. So he's the guy who's supposed to go in and get into the vault. And apparently there's some sort of special connection between him and that particular vault. So so they've already done a live action prequel for that. And then they are also doing.
It's out.
Well, they've already filmed it. It's already in the can.
It's not been released yet. Okay.
Yeah. So these are all stuff that they're gonna do. And then the other bit of news is that they're doing an animated prequel for it as well. And the animated prequel will cover the outbreak itself and how the outbreak happens,
which we hardly ever get to see.
His Justice League stuff, we can talk about at some point. Yeah. I like Zack Snyder. I think he's a good guy. I think he's very cool vision for things. I don't always agree with that vision or whatever, but I think at the end of the day, I do like Zack Snyder, and this is kind of going back to his roots, if you will, because he started with was it Dawn of the Dead? I think that was his.
That was his start. He started the zombie genre.
So he's kind of going back to his roots. Dave Bautista's.
I will watch anything with Dave Bautista.
Yeah, he's gonna be great, and the rest of the cast looks pretty good as well. I saw there's a couple of kind of recognizable folks in there. That doesn't look like the cast is too.
Well, speaking of that, we have a tie on, like a little tag on this note too, because we mentioned Hiroki Sanada. He's actually going to be in another movie here coming up very soon that will be released on HBO Max. Yeah, the new Mortal Kombat movie.
Yes.
And so, quick rundown on this. We're not going to talk too much. Maybe once it comes out, we'll review it. But
right,
it's the early reviews came out this week, and it's very, very positive.
Yes,
which is awesome to hear. I'm very excited to see this movie. It looks brutal. It doesn't look cheesy. That's I think is a big thing about
Agreed.
It. It doesn't look cheesy, because if you when you think about Mortal Kombat movies, I think about cheese. I think the straight.
Well,
cheese
it's coming off
from
a video
the 90s
game. Yeah, it's coming off a video game.
Video game. People don't really know how to adapt video games into movies. So
right.
I'm excited to see that. The trailers have been awesome for it.
Yep.
It's coming out soon, I believe. I think it's on the 20 something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like I just came out of a time portal because I was going to say March 26th. And it's not even that. But that's coming out soon. Early reviews are positive. One side note on early reviews is usually those are always positive.
Yeah.
So it's also one of those things where you have to be careful. I'm going to see it no matter what. I don't care. I'm gonna watch it because I love that game as a kid, and I like a good kung fu movie.
Yeah, I think so too. So he's gonna be be Scorpion. So anybody who's played Mortal Kombat knows that Scorpion character, and
the two most recognizable characters in Mortal Kombat are Scorpion and Sub-Zero.
And Sub-Zero,
and this movie is tied to their rivalry.
Right.
So
yeah, the trailer looked great. So it premieres. I think it looks like Friday the 23rd. I think is when
I
it's
knew it
supposed
was
to
in
be
the
coming out.
20s.
Yeah. So a week from yesterday. So.
Okay.
Yeah, as we record this, so April 23rd's release date. So for those of you who haven't seen, I guess, or I'm not quite sure who we're talking about, I would guarantee that you've seen him and stuff. So
he was in Lost.
He was in
the
Lost.
Final season of Lost.
Yep. So he's also been on. He's also been in a couple stuff. So he was in
Avengers Endgame.
He was in Endgame. He for a very brief moment before Ronan took him down. He was also on in Westworld. So I think he was in the second season of Westworld as Musashi. Or was it the third season when they go to the Japan world? Yeah.
Maybe that's second season.
I thought that was second season that they were in that one. So he's Musashi in that one. And then he also was in the Wolverine movie.
Right.
So So he's really great. He's a really fantastic actor. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him in the Army of the Dead, and I'm just looking forward to that movie all the way around.
Yeah.
I'm also looking forward to Mortal Kombat.
Yep.
So
Gonna be cool.
Pretty exciting.
All right, we have one more rundown, and then we'll get to the next segment. But just thought we'd cover this bit of news. We have some DC, as in DC Comics, DC casting news for movies coming up in the DC universe: Aquaman 2, Shazam 2, Fear of the Gods, and Black Adam. So I'll start real quick with Aquaman 2, starring Aquaman. What's his name? Well, I just drew a blank on his name. On Jason Momoa's Jason Momoa's name. So Jason Momoa is Aquaman, and if you've seen Game of Thrones, you know who Euron Greyjoy is. He was Theon Greyjoy's uncle. He was the guy who joined up with Cersei in the final seasons. Great character. Way better in the books. Way better in the books. But this actor, I'm going to butcher this name. There's no way I'm going to ever get this right. Pilu Asbayok.
Sure.
Basically, if you see him, you see Joshua Jackson.
It's the if you couldn't cast Joshua Jackson, if you can't afford Joshua Jackson, let's grab this guy.
Yeah. He looks just like Joshua Jackson of Mighty Ducks, Fringe.
Right.
So Dawson's Creek.
Dawson's Creek, yes.
But he's been cast as the villain in that movie. I don't know who, but we'll see. I liked the first Aquaman movie. I'm not a big fan of Jason Momoa, but I think the first Aquaman movie was fine.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was good. I my wife is a big fan of Jason Momoa.
I know. Why do women like him? I
don't know. And especially coming out of the Game of Thrones.
It just looks like he smells like sweat all the time, I feel like.
Right. I don't know. It's really strange. Like with the Game of Thrones stuff, like I'm like, okay, that character is literally doing something that you go to jail for.
Multiple things. Murder.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Like all this stuff and all the guys are like, oh my gosh, he's the greatest thing ever. And I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. So whatever. Which continues it continues my streak of not understanding what women. Yes.
I think it's like an inherent nerd trait.
Right. Yeah. I think you're probably right. So I'm excited about it. I think it's gonna be great. I'm looking forward to that.
In the second bit of DC casting news, we have Shazam 2: Fear of the Gods, which I loved the first Shazam movie. I think it's
brilliant.
Probably the best DC movie that has come out in recent time.
Agreed.
Helen Mirren, and I don't know exactly who she was cast as. Do you know who she was cast as?
A villain. I just know that it was one of the villains, at least is what it sounds like.
And then the main villain, Lucy Liu, was cast as the main villain.
Right.
So two big name actors for this movie.
Right.
Bringing some female gravitas to the movie.
Yes. Yeah.
Excited to see where they take it on that.
Agreed. Yeah. Yeah, I loved the first one. It was great. Super surprised.
It felt more like a Marvel movie. Like they kind of copied the way Marvel makes their movies, which I'm okay with.
Yeah.
I don't care. It made it better than what they had been making.
Right. Well, for one thing, it wasn't dark. Like, it really wasn't a dark movie. I mean, everything the DC has kicked out lately has been super dark.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the first Wonder Woman movie was not quite as dark. You know, but you know, a lot of the action sequences happen in the dark at night, you know, and all that stuff. And I mean, I get with the Batman character, that's kind of his domain, but even, you know, the previous Batman iterations were not as darkly themed as DC stuff has been. So I enjoyed it because it was much more lighthearted.
Zachary Levi was a great lead.
He was phenomenal, you know, and
loved it.
And it was fun. It was a fun movie to watch. Like I really enjoyed watching it. I had a great time watching it. I'll watch it again. You know, I've watched it a couple of times afterwards. Whereas a lot of the DC stuff, I'll watch it once and I'm like, you know, and I love DC stuff. So I just, you know, like I said, I just rewatched Batman Begins. So
like I haven't watched Aquaman again.
Yeah,
it's not that even that's dark. It's just.
I mean, the only one that I've watched multiple times out of the bigger pictures is the Wonder Woman. You know, the first Wonder Woman movie. You know,
and I haven't watched that multiple times.
Yeah, I mean, it's
I've
good.
Watched,
she's really great.
I watched pretty much anything Batman that multiple times. That's
right.
Yeah. And then speaking of dark, I assume this is going to be a more darker take on the Shazam movie. The Dwayne Johnson starring movie, Black Adam. I have BA on my notes here. It was just once I said dark, I was like something in my head was.
Are we doing an A-Team? Is there an A-Team reboot?
BA. So Black Adam starring Dwayne Johnson as Black Adam.
Yes.
Black Adam is kind of the anti-hero Shazam. He's, you know, they're both basically of the same origin. Right.
The same, because the Shazam character is this the older wizard guy kind of, and then he picks his champion, and his champion is Billy in this one here. Yep. So to represent him. Yep. So how do we know how the Black Adam? Is he a champion then also that he's selected? Is that how that's going to work? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not big up on my Black Adam
lore.
But I just know he's kind of the antithesis of Shazam.
Okay. So. Well, I'm excited about it. If there's anybody that can unite the nation,
it's The Rock.
You know, because everybody knows what he's cooking. You know, and he just is. You can smell it, and he's just a great. He's a great human being. Like I really look at Dwayne Johnson and think, he's a good human being. Yep. So I you know, he loves his family. Everyone that he works with seems to just think that he's great. So
excited to see where Kevin Hart plays in this movie.
Well, his little brother. He calls him his little brother all the time. It's so funny. Their relationship is so great. So good. I really enjoy it. So yeah, I'm super excited for this. Sarah Shahi was named.
Yeah, I guess we should say the rundown. So Sarah Shahi, it was cast as. They've changed her name.
Right. So the Black Adam. Of course the big news was Dwayne. They started production this week. So DJ put out I call him DJ. Well, you know, because we're friends like that. So, So I call him DJ. So
when are you going to introduce me?
DJ. Well, you know, it's delicate. It's political. So DJ posted out on his Instagram a shot of the clapper, showing that they started production on that. So very excited about that. Super excited to see how they kind of release this. I love the anti-hero type movies. I really do. I think, you know, that you have these guys who are not the pure and simple good guys. And, you know, I think I wouldn't say that, you know, like the Punisher. I've always enjoyed the Punisher because of his anti-hero type thing. He's not a good dude, but he's not a bad guy per se. You know, like he's not going to go hurt innocent people, which I think is the difference between a bad guy and a bad guy. So
Wreck-It Ralph put it perfectly.
Right.
What's his name?
You're not bad guy.
I am bad guy,
Yes,
but I am not bad guy.
Yeah. Wreck-It Ralph. Such a great movie.
I know. I love that movie.
Yeah, it's so great. So Sarah, getting back to Sarah
Yeah.
Shahi. Yep.
We could talk Sarah Shahi all day, every day, or we could just marvel at her.
Yes.
Beautiful woman.
Yes.
She could play any role and be good. She, if you're wondering who we're talking about, she's been in shows such as Person of Interest,
Yes.
Life with Damian Lewis,
Yes.
who is the guy from Billions, and Band of Brothers.
Band of Brothers, yep.
And
Yeah, she was really great.
Homeland.
Homeland, yep.
Anyway,
First couple seasons of Homeland, yep.
Yep. So she's not been in anything big, but Person of Interest was pretty awesome.
She was really great in Person of Interest. She was a really cool character that they brought back from time to time, and then towards the end, she had a pretty big role in how that. And if you haven't watched Person of Interest, that's a really great series to go back, and really kind of terrifying. Futuristic type stuff, but it's really not that far off. If you really start to see what they're doing from a surveillance perspective, it's probably not as far as you think. Obviously, the AI portion of it's probably a little bit, that's a little bit different. But
any fans of Lost know who or why you should watch that show is because it has Ben Linus.
Yes,
the character Ben Linus from Lost.
Yeah,
I don't remember his real name because he's just always been Linus to me.
Well, yeah, it was Terry O'Quinn was
he was Locke.
Was John Locke, and then Ben Linus was what is his name? Yeah.
He's Ben Linus.
Yeah, it's shoot, I can't think of his name either, but let's take a look.
Anyway, so Person of Interest also was created by Jonathan Nolan, who is the brother of Christopher Nolan. So tying in just this whole nerd world to that show. Getting off topic, but kind of reiterating the DC casting news. We have Pilo Asbayok.
Michael Emerson, yeah.
In Aquaman 2.
Yep.
Shazam 2 Fury of the Gods has Helen Mirren and Lucy Liu as villains. And then Black Adam started production and cast Sarah Shahi as Adriana. She's a goddess in the movie. And then we were talking about Ben Linus, who's Michael Emerson.
Michael Emerson, yes.
Just to tie it all off.
Couldn't get that out. But and kind of circle back on the Sarah Shahi character. Her name in the comic books, this Adriana Thomas is Isis. So Isis. I'm curious if they're going to keep that.
Not going to keep that from
right.
the movies.
I imagine that might change a little bit. So very excited. Some very exciting DC news.
Always good to get casting news like that.
Yeah, I'm really hoping, and I really think that there's an opportunity for DC to kind of to play off their success with Shazam 2 from the first one, and then maybe really change the tone and the direction that we're going in with the Aquaman 2 and especially with Black Adam. If you hit it out of the park with Black Adam, you're gonna put yourself in a good spot to go further down the road, I think.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. That's the rundown for you.
Sweet.
Like we said, we had some very exciting stuff to talk about. So a little bit longer than what we'd like, but it's also our second episode, so bear with us.
Yep.
Also, we're gonna try to keep it at 5 rundowns for the next future rundowns. But all right, fan questions?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, we have some good ones.
We actually have fans. Amazing. Well, are they fans or are they just friends? I think they're
friends of the show.
Friends of the show at this point. So.
No. But we definitely have some good ones here. I'm going to start off with a friend of the show's fan question, Dustin Tran. Thank you for sending this in. What do we think about recasting or not recasting Chadwick Boseman in the next Black Panther movie? So I think this is a very topical question.
Yep,
great question. Yep. Especially with the Dora Milaje coming back and talking to Winter Soldier, so people are wondering what's going on in the world with Black Panther.
Right.
Okay, so quick rundown on what's going on. Chadwick Boseman passed away at an early age last year. Due to
cancer.
I can't remember which kind it was, but he here's the amazing thing about that. He had cancer for about 7 years.
Really?
He had been filming all of his Marvel movies with cancer.
Yeah, and he hadn't told anybody, did he?
Well, I mean, obviously he told. Obviously, let's just start keeping track.
I'm gonna start shocking you. I should hook a little thing that shocks you every time you say it. Obviously.
What was the question?
Oh, we were talking about whether or not he told anybody about his cancer.
Within his group. I mean, and Marvel Studios knew about it, but the world didn't know about it.
Right.
Okay, so he passed away last year, unexpectedly.
Right.
Definitely put a wrinkle in the plans because they had just announced Black Panther 2.
Right.
Ryan Coogler is writing and directing that.
Right.
They have come out and vehemently said they will not recast the role of T'Challa, who is Black Panther.
Right.
King T'Challa.
Right.
So they must have a plan what they're going to do with the character. One of the main executive producers of Marvel Studios, Nate Moore, who's African American, has come out and recently said, and he's had to do this recently because of the Dora Milaje coming out or coming into the Falcon and Winter Soldier show. That people were speculating we'll see a Chadwick Boseman cameo in this TV show.
Yeah,
he came out and said, absolutely not.
Right.
We will not make light of Chadwick Boseman's next appearance in the Marvel Studios world or Marvel Cinematic Universe. We're not going to, and it sounds real negative, but we're not going to denigrate, Chadwick's name by doing it with a cameo.
Right.
And then propping up the Falcon and Winter Soldier show for to see Chadwick's last performance.
Right, yeah.
Now he's scheduled to appear in the Marvel Cinematic Universe's not next TV show, but one of the next TV shows that they are going to premiere is called What If. It's a alternate reality type show. For example, Peggy Carter becomes Captain Britain instead of Steve Rogers getting the serum.
Oh, okay.
So it's a really cool show that's going to be like a What If series. He's voicing T'Challa, who actually becomes Star-Lord and not Peter Quill. So
what?
Yeah, it's a really cool take on different storylines if just one thing went different.
With a butterfly flaps its wings. Yep. Okay.
So he lent his voice because it's an animated show. He lent his voice to that.
Okay.
So that is scheduled to be his next appearance and maybe last. We don't know what their plan is.
Sure.
I'm of the mind, do not recast the role.
Correct. Yeah.
I think that they will come up with a great, smart idea on what to do with that character. But everybody knows Chadwick Boseman as the Black Panther.
Oh, absolutely.
You can't recast that role.
Yeah.
And him dying of cancer, super tragic and really unfortunate.
Yeah.
Do the right thing, Marvel Studios. Don't recast it. Let him be the only T'Challa and move on because there's so many other options.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I think again in Kevin Feige we trust.
Yeah, so, exactly. That's it always comes down to in Feige we trust.
Yeah.
So great question, Dustin.
Yep.
That is our opinion here. We stated some facts in there, but also please don't recast.
Yeah, I think that's the plead.
So, all right, next question from good friend of the show, Mr. Morgan Paul, who will be coming on the show quite a bit. Do you think having Charlie Cox in the new Spider-Man movie officially means we will be getting Daredevil in the MCU? God, I hope so. Hopefully. Yeah. I have not seen this officially confirmed. I know it's rumor. It's again, part of this whole Spider-Man 3 No Way Home news. It's confirmed to have Doc Ock. It's confirmed to have Electro. Big rumor that Charlie Cox, who played Daredevil in the Netflix Daredevil series, perfect Daredevil, perfect Matt Murdock.
Oh, he's great.
Is going to be in Spider-Man 3 No Way Home. It is. I have not seen it confirmed. Morgan, if you see it confirmed somewhere, please send that to me so I can be confirmed about it as well. But
right,
if he's in this show, what does that mean? Does that mean that the other Netflix characters are going to be in the MCU? Not necessarily.
God, I hope so. Yep.
I do hope that John Bernthal's Punisher comes into the MCU.
Yep.
I liked Jessica Jones season 1. In fact, I loved it because of David Tennant's villain.
Yeah, no, he was great.
That was another example of the villain making it great.
Right.
Jessica Jones was great, but it was the villain.
Same thing with the Daredevil. I mean, you have Vincent D'Onofrio as Wilson Fisk.
Well, I think that's a little bit more balanced between having a great hero and a great villain.
Right.
While Jessica Jones had an amazing villain and an okay hero.
Right.
And then also Luke Cage and Iron Fist didn't really have either.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. There were some misses on those too.
Misses on those. But so if it turns out that, because I really don't want to see, I want to see a new Danny Rand who's Iron Fist.
Yeah.
I don't think the guy that was cast as Danny Rand is fit for that role. Mike Coulter as Luke Cage, I think was a great Luke Cage. I wouldn't mind seeing him come into the MCU.
Yeah.
So it's all very weird, and Marvel recently got the rights back to the Netflix characters, which is why we are probably assuming or presuming, because there is a little bit of evidence that Charlie Cox is in it, but why we are presuming that Charlie Cox is in Spider-Man 3. If that's true, that would be amazing news, and I would love to see it. And again, with the multiverse, just about anything is possible. So, going back to Morgan's question, do you think having Charlie Cox in the new Spider-Man movie officially means we will be getting Daredevil in the MCU? If he is not, if he's Matt Murdock in Spider-Man 3,
right,
and Charlie Cox isn't just like Bob Smith,
right,
the lawyer,
right,
that would suck. Because if it's another Ralph, I almost just. You got to catch up on WandaVision.
Yeah.
But Ralph Boner, you'll know what I'm talking about at some point, and people who have watched WandaVision know. I hope it's not another Ralph Boner situation.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, where they bring. Yeah. Yep.
So, really hoping he's Matt Murdock and.
Well, and I'm hoping there's new life. I'm hoping they breathe new life into the Daredevil series, because that was amazing. Yeah. They did a great job.
Love it.
And then the Punisher series that kind of dovetailed off of that was really, really great as well. John Bernthal's amazing. So I'm really hoping that that's true as well. So I'm really, really hoping that that's
Kilgrave. The case. Sorry, that just popped in my mind. That's David Tennant's Purple Man character. And
right.
Kilgrave. Okay. Next question from Fred Salazar. And knowing Fred, this could be... He could be asking this because he's just being Fred Salazar, or he's really being honest. So it's always hard to tell with you, Fred. What are your thoughts on the new Cloverfield movie that's coming out? You and I talked a little bit about this last night.
Yeah.
No idea that there is a new Cloverfield movie coming out. They've had 3 Cloverfield movies. The first one was a found footage monster movie.
Right.
Great movie. Loved it. 10 Cloverfield Lane was good.
Yeah.
Totally surprised us in a way that, first of all, we didn't even know it was coming out.
Right, yeah. Then, it just kind of came out of nowhere.
And I have not seen Cloverfield Paradox. So
has
if
anybody?
Exactly. Maybe Fred, have you seen it?
Yeah, Fred. Let us know in the comments.
Yeah. Let us know. Absolutely, in the comments. If they are developing it, and I think I looked it up last night, just briefly, they have said there will be a Cloverfield 4. It's not going to be a found footage movie. It will have J.J. Abrams directing it.
Yeah.
And that's all the details we have. Great. Cool. Let me know more about it. If you know more about it, Fred, as we draw closer, we'll probably talk about it more.
Yeah. Yeah, as the details kind of flesh out, we'll kind of keep it. Or they may keep it under wraps like they did with the other one. They may keep a tight lid on it. We may not hear much. But, what we hear, I loved the first one. The second one was really good. So I think, that found footage phase of I'm
life.
Glad that is gone. Yeah. But it was neat when it happened.
Yeah.
The Blair Witch stuff and all that. So yeah, I think if they do continue on with the Cloverfield universe, I'm a big monster movie fan anyhow. I love the Godzilla stuff. I love the all that stuff. Kind of talk about
maybe a little bit of a segue.
Yeah.
I did see Godzilla vs. Kong this past weekend, and if you go see a movie in a theater, go see Godzilla vs. Kong.
Right.
It is so freaking amazing.
Yes.
And I feel pity for people who are watching it on their TVs at home.
Yeah. It really needs to be seen on that giant screen. The detail in the characters' faces, that you see, and just to see it on that giant screen.
Yeah.
It needs to be seen on a giant screen. It really does. So,
right. And feel it and hear it and all that.
Right. A couple of Easter eggs in there. 80s movies Easter eggs kind of tie back into our list. 80s movies,
Easter eggs.
Ones that were not on the list. Well, Lethal Weapon.
Anytime there's a Die Hard Easter egg in anything, I love it.
Yep, there's Die Hard and a Lethal Weapon Easter egg in that. So
All right, next question. Good question, Fred. Or was that Fred?
Yeah,
Fred.
Yep,
Fred. Neil Jorgensen chiming in. Is The Boys outside the scope of this show? And what about old TV shows like Heroes? I could not be more adamant in a hell yes. Those are within the scope of the show.
Right.
The Boys is a freaking awesome show going on right now.
Yeah.
My love for season 1 of Heroes is so strong. I will put it up against any season of any TV show.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
And it will win out most of the time.
Yeah. No, that first season of Heroes was close to perfection. It really was. So they do a great job of developing, the characters, introducing them. And again, kind of going back on our theme of talking about having a villain that, can really set the tone. That villain in season 1 of Heroes was terrifying. I mean, he absolutely was terrifying. And the fact that
Sylar?
Yes, the Sylar. Well, yeah, the Sylar character. He was great. And then of course season 2 kind of changed the relationship.
Heard it.
Yeah, the relationship changed there. But Heroes was close to perfection.
I'll never forget. Save the cheerleader, save the world was quite possibly the greatest tagline ever. And that took the world by storm when that came out.
Yep.
And it was I'll never forget that. Peter Petrelli was on that train, and Hiro Nakamura all of a sudden in a badass way, a samurai way, shows up.
Yep.
Because Hiro Nakamura was he was a nerd.
He is a nerd.
And bumbling and stuttering, and he shows up in this cool samurai way. All of a sudden, he's save the cheerleader, save the world.
Yeah.
Cut to black. Whew.
Yeah.
I still get some chills on that.
Well, and lots of those guys have gone on to have really great, kind of great careers. Obviously Hayden Panettiere had a great career. Milo
Ventimiglia.
Yep. He's had a great one.
Yep.
Sindel Ramamurthy, he's done a couple of things. I've seen him in a couple of stuff. Zachary Quinto, of course, goes on to play Spock.
Yeah,
for gosh sakes.
He may have had the biggest breakout.
Yeah, and then of course Ali Larder, who's so hot.
Yeah, so hot. So absolutely.
Yeah.
Neil.
Good call, Neil.
We're going to do a revisited series.
Yeah.
Of Lost. We'll definitely be revisiting season 1 of Heroes.
Of Heroes, yes.
Because now again, that you want to talk about a show that went from being all time to being all time in one end of the spectrum of all time to another end of all time. So we will revisit Heroes at some point, and then when The Boys season 3 premieres, that will be one of our weekly. That'll be the biggest show out, so we'll probably be reviewing that on a weekly basis.
Right. Yep. Definitely look forward to that one. Yep.
Yeah. All right. Last one from Larry Curtis. Sergeant Curtis. You'll always be Sergeant Curtis to me. I don't know if I'm going to ever be able to call you anything different. I know recently you said you're not a sergeant anymore. Too bad.
Right.
So sad. Don't become a sergeant.
Right.
Sergeant Curtis. Who? I was very excited to talk about this. Who, if anyone, can beat Logan Wolverine in a one-on-one fight other than himself? Okay. So we touched on this earlier in the rundown. Wolverine is way overpowered now.
Versus his comic book.
Versus his pre-X-Men movie comic book. So
okay.
X-Men the movie came out in 1999.
Right.
People our age are really into X-Men mainly not necessarily due to the comics, but due to the early '90s animated cartoon, which is still fantastic.
Right.
And you can tell in that show, Wolverine's he's a badass.
Yeah.
I'll admit it, but he's not the overpowered godlike figure that the movies made him out to be.
Sure.
And so there is a lot of people that could beat Wolverine in a one-on-one fight, to include the man himself, the leader of the X-Men, Cyclops. So in a early 2010s comic storyline called X-Men Schism, which then led into the Avengers versus X-Men storyline, Cyclops and Wolverine fight, and Cyclops beats the crap out of them.
Yeah.
And it's not the first time he's done it. Every once in a while, he shows Wolverine why he's the leader of the X-Men.
Right.
So just right off the top of my head, I'm going to obviously name my character that I love, Cyclops, but you put Wolverine in a one-on-one battle, he's going to get his butt kicked against, the godlike characters, the god tier characters like Thor. He's battled Hulk, and he'll make his mark against Hulk, but in the end, Hulk will beat him.
Well, he's just a guy. Like he has the skeleton, the adamantium skeleton, and then he has the healing power that he has. Yep. But they made him into some sort of like super strength guy, almost like the super soldier serum stuff. But that's not how it works. So he's not an overpowering, overstrength guy. Of course, for the movies, the Magneto thing, literally Magneto could.
He does.
Yeah, he does. Like basically has. He could take him apart. He really could take him apart if he wanted to. But I think. I think there's a lot of. I tend to agree with you. I do love the Wolverine character. I do. And you and I have had that conversation multiple times where and I think I'm in love. I'm in love with the Hugh Jackman. Yeah. Wolverine character, and I think a lot of people are. That's.
And I like the '80s and '90s Wolverine,
right,
from the comics,
right, where he was in his place behind.
He's like 5'4",
right.
Yeah, he's not the leader of the X-Men. He's not Jean Grey's love interest.
Right.
He is. He's very normal, except for his healing power.
Well, yeah, and he's the Wolverine for a reason. He's a scrappy.
But he's got an amazing backstory. He's a really great character. It's just unfortunate that the movies really made him so overpowered that he's like this godlike character, and he can face off against the Phoenix Force. And I know that's like we're getting into super nerdy stuff there, but Sergeant Curtis, a lot of people can beat Wolverine in a one-on-one fight, to include Cap and Cyclops. So just putting that up. Yeah. So, okay, great fan questions. Those actually might be some of my more favorite stuff we do.
Yeah, that was fun.
So send in your fan questions in any which way you can. nerdrundown@gmail.com, Twitter. You can reach us on Facebook through our personal accounts. And then when we on YouTube, I want to start seeing some comments on YouTube.
Yep.
If you guys want to start adding in your fan questions through there. Yep. So the Nerd Rundown YouTube channel, when we release these episodes, hopefully we'll have this up and running by tomorrow sometime at some point. But it's been a really fun day with you, Eric, here on episode 2, Attack of the Podcast Nerds.
Sure. Okay. Yep. Yeah, it's been great. Always fun. Thank you guys so much for listening last week. It really meant a lot to Darren and I.
Sure.
We're super excited about how this is going to play out over time. We're committed to doing this for a little while. We kind of made our own internal commitment to each other that we're going to be doing this for a little bit. So, we'll be changing things. If there's stuff that you want to see, stuff you want to hear, feedback is always welcome. Criticisms are always welcome. Yep. We're big boys. We can take it. So, but at the end of the day, we're doing this, to have fun and laugh at each other and have a good time and talk about kind of some of our favorite stuff. So hit us up on all the stuff. I was able to get us all added to the Apple, Google, all this. So if there is a platform that we're not on that you usually listen to your podcast on, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. through Facebook or through Twitter or whichever, or through the comments on YouTube. If there's a platform that we're not on, let me know. I'll get it added. We'll get it put up there.
Yeah.
So we're happy to help. We're happy to make it as convenient as possible for people to consume and kind of get back to us.
And as time goes on, we'll be able to make this shorter. Finding our rhythm on how long we talk about things.
Right.
So
right. Yep.
we'll put time codes in there so that you can skip ahead or
Yep.
move ahead to a certain topic if you don't want to listen to it. Some of the feedback we've gotten is don't really know what you guys are talking about, but I listened, and so when it came to a topic I knew about, I listened more intently. So
right.
it'll be that will help, but as time goes on, we'll also make it shorter. We're just got to find our rhythm in that.
Yep. Yeah. So thanks everybody.
Yes. Thank you, everybody. This is Darren and Eric signing off. Have a wonderful weekend.
See ya.